Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to Mind the Controversy, where we talk about recent controversies. And I'm Tovit Neiser, I'm the CEO of OCODE, and with me is Shiri Doria Cohen, aka Dr. Controversy. She's an assistant professor at the University of Connecticut and the founder and executive chairwoman at OCODE. Hi, Shiri.
Hi, Tovit. So great to be here.
Tell us, what is controversy and how do you define it? I mean, it's such a used term, but what is it exactly?
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question, Tovit. And where I landed was that there are several elements that need to be in place in order for something to be controversial. We actually define controversy as having multiple dimensions, one of which is how many people argue, or the proportion of people arguing about it, which we call contention. And the other one is importance. And importance is very subjective in a sense, because importance can be very different to different people, right? Maybe to me, abortion is the top most important topic that I'm going to decide my voting on the basis of. And somebody else might say, no, I care more about the economy, right? And but you can measure the importance across different populations of people, and that gives you a sense. And you can see how critical when topic is really central to people's identity, you can actually slice and dice controversy and get different answers for what's controversial, depending on the population that you're observing.
At OCODE, what we do, and the startup that you founded, was to detect that early on. Why is it so important?
I would argue that controversy is central to almost all of the problems that we see online today. Disinformation, toxicity, harassment, right? At the core of them, there's a basic disagreement over what is and what should be, right? So if you take controversy away, there's nothing left. If controversy were to magically disappear, there would be no need for disinformation. There would be no harassment. There would be no toxicity. The controversy is sort of like the secret ingredient that makes all of those things tick. And if you understand the controversy, you also understand why are people spreading mis and disinformation.
Inserting another 1 second about OCODE, if we may. So what we do is early on we detect controversies, and without sharing any patents that we have, but can you elaborate a bit based on your PhD and your work? How do we do that? I mean, what are the tools or secret ingredients?
Right. So very early on, we were looking at leveraging existing sources of data where you already had clues on what was controversial. So for example, Wikipedia. So if you look at the edit history of Wikipedia, and people are arguing back and forth, making a modification to the page, and then they have edit wars. They change it, they change it back, they change it again, and then if it's controversial enough, the page will get locked down. And so those clues, we actually leveraged them and took them out of Wikipedia and then used them elsewhere on the web to find controversy. And we were one of the very first people who even asked the question, can a computer detect what's controversial? Can we teach AI to learn? Because as humans, we intuitively know what's controversial. But then you can't scale that to all of the internet, right? You can't read every page on the internet. So can we teach AI to even figure out what's controversial? And this very deceptively simple thing that we intuitively can grasp is actually quite complicated to teach a computer what is and isn't controversial.
Right. And is there a metric to say something is very controversial or slightly?
Yes. Yeah, that's our proprietary controversy score, right? So the higher it is, right, the more controversial something is. And related to that are questions of reputation, right? So if somebody is embroiled in a controversy, their reputation might be damaged. Is it damaged short term? Is it damaged long term? Are they now verboten for?
One recent controversial topic is the new book by Harry, Prince Harry. He shares a lot of controversies, and absolutely. Over there, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, and I think most salient to our topic is the notion of manufactured controversy, right?
Term.
Yeah, so when I say manufactured controversy, I mean creating a controversy that wasn't there, right? So Harry is alleging that Charles and Camilla were planting stories about him in the press Those are some very serious allegations, and what he argues is that they did that in order to distract from their own controversies and to make them look better in comparison. Shift the fire, right? Sort of wag the dog type thing. If you're focused on Harry's rehab, right, then you forget that Camilla destroyed the family, right? So whether these allegations are true or not, we may never know. But the mere existence of the allegations is very serious, and I think that is a super interesting controversy here in a way, and a super important one, because it has to do with very basic topics of responsibility of the press, right, with family allegiances. It also has to do with the question of how journalists spin stories and how that impacts other stories, because if you're giving attention to story A, by definition story B is going to lose oxygen, right? And that's the crux of the wag the dog strategy, is just to say, I'm going to plant this other, I'm going to start a war just to distract from my political problems, and the reason it works is because we all have limited attention and the press has limited time, and
that's
so
the media's responsibility here, which is
a
huge impact they have. Let's tie that in relation to Okud's work to reputation. When the controversy sparks and it goes up, toxicity levels, everything is going up, what happens to the reputation of the kingdom, of the prince, of the book?
Of the book, right? Well, first of all, the book sells, right? The book is selling. Controversy sells. People want to talk about it. But also, you mentioned monarchy, and the crown itself is already under fire, for a history of colonialism. And as long as Queen Elizabeth was alive, then it was she's a very popular figure. So it was, she kind of glossed it over. But now that she's passed away, those controversies are coming more and more to the front, and that can have huge, macroeconomic impacts on the future of Britain, right? And would argue time and time again, no controversy is born in a vacuum, right? Every controversy is alive and gets its oxygen from pre-existing controversies. So the colonialism piece was already kind of sprouting before Queen Elizabeth died, but it's now going to be growing in importance. And for example, Charles and Camilla, this is old news, right? And in a way, it lost steam, and now Harry's coming back. Yep. It's throwing fuel on that fire again.
At the time that it's very
it's actually very important. Exactly.
Very sensitive.
So reputations are going to be influenced by the story, and also how they respond in turn, right?
If they would if they lead to another controversy.
And they've been very quiet, and in a way, arguably, that may be the best reaction, because they're depriving that controversy of more steam. If they were putting out, they're sort of avoiding prolonging the pain and suffering.
So as a CTA for our listeners or viewers, Mind the Controversy, go read it or just the excerpts. Thank you so much.
If you have ideas on other controversies you'd like us to analyze and talk about,
ping us on Twitter, on our website.
Thank you, Tavit. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.